The most dangerous person in the room is the one who requires zero external validation to move forward. By craving approval, you have surrendered your internal sovereignty and lost your psychological leverage. Reclaim your power today by becoming entirely indifferent to the external gaze and building your own unshakable empire. Look around you. The modern landscape is a minefield of digital noise, hyper-reactive culture, and invisible strings. Every single day, you wake up and step into a psychological arena meticulously designed to manipulate your every move, hijack your attention, and colonize your mind. You check your phone before your feet even hit the floor, and within 30 seconds, you are bombarded with narratives telling you what to care about, who to fear, what to buy, and what version of yourself you need to sell just to be accepted by a hyper-critical society. Most people spend their entire lives in a state of perpetual, exhausting reaction. They treat public praise like oxygen and criticism like an absolute death sentence. If a boss frowns at them during a morning briefing, their whole weekend is ruined, infected by a toxic cycle of overthinking. If a social media post gets low engagement or peer leaves them unread, their internal self-worth plummets. They genuinely believe they are playing the game of life, but they are actually just passive pieces on someone else's board, moved around ruthlessly by the invisible hands of algorithms, corporate politics, and manufactured social expectations. Niccolò Machiavelli saw this exact trap 5 centuries ago in the cutthroat, blood-soaked political arenas of Renaissance Italy. He didn't look at the world through the soft lens of how people ought to live, but through the cold and blinking lens of how they actually live. He looked past the polite smiles, the noble speeches, and the moral grandstanding of the elite to see the raw, naked power dynamics operating underneath. And in his eyes, the individual who relies on the shifting winds of public opinion, the benevolence of a master, or the approval of their peers is already a hostage. They have surrendered the fortress of their mind before the battle has even begun. True power isn't about being liked. It isn't even about being feared. Though Machiavelli famously noted that if you must choose between the two, fear is far safer than love. Why? Because love is held by a fragile chain of obligation which is snapped the very moment self-interest enters the equation. But fear is maintained by a dread of punishment which never fails. Yet, there is a level of power that goes even deeper than fear. True power is much colder, quieter, and more lethal than raw intimidation. It is the absolute, unyielding immunity to external validation. It is the realization that the opinions of others are merely data points to be analyzed, never verdicts to be accepted. When you achieve that level of detachment, you acquire the unshakable edge. The ultimate return on investment. Let's talk about the cold, hard calculus of this strategy. The long-term ROI of absolute emotional detachment in your day-to-day life. In a highly volatile, hyper-connected culture like the United States, attention and emotional reactions are the ultimate corporate and social currencies. Every brand, every media outlet, every coworker, and every social circle is actively trying to bank on your emotional vulnerability. They want you angry, they want you desperate, and they want you eager to please. Machiavelli observed a fundamental truth about human nature that most modern self-help gurus try to sweetcoat. To their followers' ultimate detriment, human beings are inherently ungrateful, fickle, deceptive, cowardly, and greedy. If your strategy for daily happiness, career progression, and personal peace relies on the sustained applause of your team, your friends, or your target audience, your entire life is built on quicksand. The exact same crowd that crowns you today for saying the right thing will gladly tear you apart tomorrow, just for the cheap thrill of the spectacle. They don't love you. They love how you make them feel, or they love the trend you happen to represent. When you actively train yourself to become entirely immune to both criticism and praise, you aren't just protecting your mental health. You are executing a brilliant Machiavellian power play. Your ROI skyrockets across 3 distinct operational fronts. 1. Conservation of strategic energy. Think about how much mental bandwidth the average person wastes on an average Tuesday. A coworker makes a passive-aggressive, backhanded comment during a morning Zoom call. The average professional spends the next 4 hours venting to friends, overanalyzing the tone, and plotting a petty defensive response. They have literally handed over their personal power and emotional stability for free to someone who doesn't even care. While your competitors are burning through their precious mental reserves trying to manage public relations, stroke fragile egos, and nurse hard feelings, you remain entirely focused on execution. You don't waste currency fighting petty battles that don't expand your actual territory, increase your leverage, or build your bank account. You view the insult not as a wound, but as a clumsy reveal of your opponent's own insecurity. 2. Total predictability of the sandbox. In any office environment, friend group, or competitive industry, people are constantly trying to map your emotional triggers. They want to know exactly what makes you angry, what makes you defensive, what makes you nervous, and what makes you desperate for approval. Once they map those triggers, they can control you like a puppet. When people realize they cannot bait you with insults, pressure you with passive aggression, or manipulate you with cheap, sycophantic flattery, you become an invisible ghost in their system. They cannot read your playbook because your playbook isn't written in the highly predictable, easily manipulated ink of human emotion. You become ungameable. While they try to pull strings that are no longer attached to anything, you quietly observe their confusion. 3. A monopoly on rationality. In a room full of panicked, overstimulated people reacting wildly to the latest corporate restructuring, cultural shift, or market downturn, the loudest voice is almost always the weakest. The person who screams, scrambles, or desperately tries to appease everyone signals total vulnerability. Conversely, the only person who remains cold, analytical, and calculating automatically dictates the terms of the room. While others are drowning in panic and making emotional concessions, you are calmly positioning yourself to capitalize on their chaos. You become the anchor in the storm, not because you care about saving them, but because you know that chaos is a ladder that only the rational can climb. Praise is nothing more than a strategic bribe designed to keep you compliant, predictable, and within the boundaries of the herd. Criticism is just a whip designed to force you back into line the moment you dare to step out. Snap both instruments in half, and you suddenly own the only asset that actually matters in the game of life: absolute, sovereign control over your focus. The price of admission: what is true power in the modern Western world? In the corporate, social, and political arenas, power is constantly confused with shallow status symbols: the job title on a LinkedIn profile, the corner office, the luxury car, or the verified badge on social media. But Machiavelli knew that status without autonomy is just a golden cage. If you can be stripped of your titles and your lifestyle the moment you voice an unapproved thought, you are not a master. You are an exceptionally well-compensated slave. True power is the absolute, non-negotiable ability to walk away from any table where your independence is the price of admission. Think about the painful daily compromises people make just to keep up appearances and maintain comfort. They soften their stances in high-stakes meetings to avoid rocking the boat or offending a superior. They dilute their creative vision because a middle manager got nervous about risk. They nod along to social ideologies and corporate platitudes they privately find utterly ridiculous. all to maintain their access to a specific social circle or elite network. They convince themselves it's just tactical networking or playing the corporate game. Machiavelli would call it voluntary servitude. He warned heavily against the severe danger of relying on auxiliary forces, allies, systems, or platforms who help you rise but ultimately hold the real structural leverage over your fate. If your livelihood, your reputation, or your inner confidence depends on an algorithm that can shadow ban you, a gatekeeper who can fire you on a whim, or a social circle that can exile you for one wrong word, you are playing a losing game. You are just a tenant living on borrowed time in a house owned by your masters. To gain the unshakable edge, you must build your own infrastructure, master your own high-value skill sets, and construct your own psychological fortress. You must train your mind to be willing to look a highly lucrative promotion, a prestigious partnership, or a powerful social alliance dead in the eye, and say no the exact second it demands a piece of your autonomy. Walking away isn't an act of emotional defiance, throwing a childish tantrum, or dramatic quiet quitting. It is a calculated, ice-cold strategic maneuver. When you calmly pack your bags and walk away from a rigged table without a hint of anger or regret, you preserve your capital. More importantly, you signal to every observer in the room that you cannot be bought, coerced, cornered, or intimidated. That realization terrifies people far more than raw aggression ever could. It forces your opponents to realize that you hold the ultimate leverage. You simply do not need them. Dictating reality, the final, highest stage of the Machiavellian transformation, is shifting your entire operational mode from a creature that adapts to reality to an active gravitational force that dictates it. Most people live in a state of perpetual defense. They wake up, check their notifications, look at the market, gauge the mood of their boss or spouse, and frantically adjust their sails to survive the day. They let the external environment tell them who they are allowed to be, what they are allowed to think, and how they should feel. They are entirely outer-directed, floating like dead leaves in a river of cultural trends. Machiavelli rejected this passive, submissive existence completely. He introduced the profound concept of not moral virtue in the modern, polite religious sense, but the relentless drive, talent, energy, and ruthless capability of an individual to bend fortuna to luck or forth to their absolute will. He famously wrote that fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her under, it is necessary to beat her and force her down. While the imagery is intense, his strategic meaning was clear. Reality does not reward the hesitant, the polite, or the passive. Reality yields entirely to the audacious, the calculated, and the relentless. To dictate reality in your day-to-day life, you must become your own sole, undisputed source of validation. When you launch a business, a project, or an unorthodox career path, you do not ask a skeptical market, doubtful friends, or pessimistic family members if your vision is valid. You execute with such undeniable, relentless, and precise force that they eventually have no choice but to adjust their worldview to your new reality. When you enter a negotiation, you do not meekly accept the terms laid out across the desk. You subtly reframe the entire conversation, controlling the definitions of value, so that the other party is forced to play on your home turf by your rules, whether they realize it or not. You do not wait for a title, a promotion, or formal permission to lead. You identify the weaknesses and inefficiencies around you, and you create an operational vacuum through your sheer competence, a vacuum that only your leadership can fill. The modern Western landscape is highly fragmented, deeply anxious, and desperately searching for certainty. People don't actually want consensus, even though they claim they do. They want a North Star. They want someone who stands so firmly, so unapologetically in their own reality that it becomes gravitational, drawing everyone else into its orbit. When you refuse to react to their manufactured office crises, their internet outrage loops, or their shallow, conditional praises, you break the circuit. You stop being a passive consumer of their reality, and you start becoming the supreme architect of your own. The master of the game. Let's be entirely direct. This path is incredibly lonely, and it is absolutely not for the faint of heart. It requires a level of daily, relentless psychological discipline that 99% of the population finds deeply uncomfortable and terrifying. It means looking at the comforting social rituals of validation, the mutual flattery, the superficial networking mixes, the desperate need to fit into a specific demographic or political tribe, and seeing them for exactly what they are. Beautifully wrapped traps designed to keep you weak, dependent, manageable, and small. Niccolò Machiavelli never promised that power would be comfortable, polite, popular, or warm. He promised it would be effective. He promised it would ensure survival, autonomy, and dominance in a world that is inherently volatile, competitive, and unforgiving. But changing your conduct with the times does not mean letting the times change you. It means adapting your tactics while keeping your core strategy and your emotional fortress entirely locked down. The world around you is a shifting marketplace of illusions, emotions, baits, and traps. If you want to leave a lasting mark, if you want to protect your hard-earned autonomy and rise above the deafening noise of the modern era, you have to stop buying into the illusions of the crowd. You must learn to look at human behavior with the detached, analytical eye of a scientist observing a specimen under a microscope. When someone praises you, analyze their motive. When someone criticizes you, analyze their insecurity. Never let either penetrate your armor. Be the architect of the system, not the brick being laid. Be the chess player pulling the strings from the shadows, not the piece being sacrificed on the board. Become entirely immune to their applause, completely deaf to their condemnation, and always prepared to stand up and walk away from a table that demands your compliance as the price of admission. That is how you win the game before they even realize you've started playing. That is the unshakable edge.